Hello, everybody, and welcome to our day early review video for comics.
For
I
comics.
forgot the comics part.
We don't do movie reviews.
My name is Jason.
I'm Andy.
And we're with infinityfluxcomics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, where every Monday after the comics have been delivered to us, we board them. Then Andy and I divide up the ones that we think most people want to hear about this week, or ones we just can't wait to read.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to tell you through spoiler light reviews, we'll tell you first appearances, major collectability reasons you might want these issues. But on top of that, especially with the number ones, we're going to tell you what they're about, what their genre is, what the art style's like, what the writing style is like. We're going to try to connect you with the books that you most want when you go in your comic store this week. So I'd say we have a pretty solid week here.
Yeah.
A good showing of Marvel books, a good showing of DC books, a lot of indie books as well. So before we begin, I know we've been bringing it up lately, but we have a website. It is infinityflux.net, where you can now sign up to pre-order comics. We're not selling comics here this week. We are selling pre-order subscriptions for ones for next week. You just go to Last Call, and you can do a search. You can look by publisher. You'll see all the comics available for order this week. You click on it, and you can subscribe to the whole series, or you can just pre-order what cover you want. So again, that is just our new website at infinityflux.net. We've already got a lot of new people signed up. I'm really excited.
A lot of new names.
I know. And soon enough, we're actually going to be selling the weekly comics on there as well.
Yeah.
So it won't just be pre-orders. It'll also be, as we talk about these, you can go right there and get them. But give us another week or two on that.
But if you're one of those people who watches this show and has started a full box with us, let us know in the comments, because I think it'd be super cool to connect the names with this is where you found out about us.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so Andy, what are we starting with this week?
I feel like every week I'm starting out with a Lazarus Planet issue, but I've really been enjoying them. And this week is Lazarus Planet, DC Universe's Lazarus Planet Next Evolution one-shot.
So the cover really made me want to read this one. It's a really interesting cover with particularly that Deadshot looking character.
Yes. So what I actually really like they've been doing with these is every issue has kind of had like a key thing in it that how the Lazarus stuff has affected, created, done something. So this one being called Next Evolution. You get a little bit of the idea. This is how the Lazarus resin that's raining down on everyone is kind of powering up certain characters or kind of augmenting existing characters. But there are some new characters in this. So, like all of them, it's kind of an anthology. We've got different writers and artists, starting with a story from Ram V and a new artist I'm not familiar with, Lalit Kumamoto Sharma. And this is a really interesting one. It starts off with Red Hood, who is tracking down. Actually, almost seems like this takes place after, however the rain stops falling. I don't know. I guess it just runs out. We haven't really discovered that yet. But it's not raining anymore. But it seems like you've got this powerful stuff. People are starting to gather it. And
that's what I would
steal it, and it's moving and everything.
It's like mutagen.
It is. It's like the Ninja Turtles mutagen. Almost exactly. It's also green and glowing. I'm surprised we haven't got a turtle character yet. But Red Hood is hunting down people who have taken this, and of course are going to use it for nefarious purposes or sell it or whatever. But when he finally gets to the place where they're, the warehouse they're keeping it in, he learns they've all been taken out before he got there. Who did it? Well, that is when they were introduced to the Vigil. He comes in contact, not really fights, but kind of tries to keep up with these three characters that each have powers, but they're not named individually, but they do say we're the Vigil, and they kind of give their reasons for wanting to stop this Lazarus stuff from moving.
So the Vigil's a team?
The Vigil is a team. I think that's kind of the first news we heard. This is the first appearance of the Vigil. Well, the Vigil is a group of 3 people. Now, I'm looking forward to finding out who they are. We see a bit of their powers. One kind of has almost like a teleportation power. You just get hints of that. But that is a great story. The next one we have is a story about Flatline, which I love that Flatline was such a good character in Robin and has taken on a life of her own outside of that book. In this one, as the rain falls on her, she starts hearing a voice. She's like, now I can hear dead people. Not like any dead people. It's kind of her way of like, what's going on? But she can hear something, a voice, and she is following that voice. And that leads her to Ubu, who was Ra's al Ghul's bodyguard. But now that Ra's al Ghul is gone, what is he up to? You'll have to read it to find out. But the last page of this one is definitely a big spoiler, so I won't say it, but something big happens the final page. Now, the kind of the big one in this, I believe, is the Deadeye story. This is by Chuck Brown and Alicia Martinez. The last one, that was by Brandon T. Snyder and Laura Braga, but this one is by Chuck Brown and Alicia Martinez. And we learn that Amanda Waller is in some kind of mental, they're playing chess in like this mental void between her and this new character called Deadeye. And I think a lot of people going to just be like, that's Deadshot. He's been dead, he's back, or whatever. This is not Deadshot. This is a new character that might have a relation to someone you do know, kind of a hidden relative of an existing character. But she has sent him on a mission to fight Everyman. Everyman is a shape-shifting character way back from 52, created by Jeff Johns and Grant Morrison during the 52, the original weekly series. But even Everyman gets an upgrade and a new name in this. And he is now called Amalgam Man. You'll have to see what that means. But so that's one kind of shift of a character. But also we have Deadeye, who is a straight-up new character. And you'll have to read to find out more about who he is and why he may probably end up being a good guy, I would say, given his circumstances. But he seems like he's got kind of a little bit of the Deadshot powers, but mostly psychic powers. So pretty cool there. And finally, we have Red Canary. This is written by Delilah S. Dawson. Another great story. I love Red Canary from all of the Dark Crisis stuff. Well, this is a story that takes place after Dark Crisis, only like a week after Dark Crisis, and she's back to a normal life. She's like, this is so weird. I was just teamed up with Black Canary fighting all these like shadow villains and everything, and now I'm late for a chemistry test. But this is really a story about her choosing what she wants to do with her life when some statues start coming to life in a local market, and she calls her new friend Sideways to team up with her. So bringing Sideways back, teamed up with Red Canary, a really fun story that it looks like she's really going to go places, probably in the new Green Arrow series. But that is what Lazarus Planet is.
And that is chock full of stuff.
It is chock full of stuff. I had to talk about each of them because I think they're all unique and very important. So that is our main cover. We have the Crystal Kung variant with Red Canary. Very interesting, very artsy cover. We have, I bet you can guess who this is. It is a Derek Chew flatline cover. And I think a big one because this, I guess this is equal with the main cover for his first cover appearance. But this is the Tyler Kirkham Deadeye cover, but you can see a little bit more of him and kind of his psychic hands. And then lastly, we have a 1 in 25 Kumar variant for, we're selling to our customers for $20. And you can see one of the members of the Vigil right there in the background. And I think that's kind of like their logo, too. That one character kind of looks like a grown-up version of, from Saw, the Jigsaw puppet. He kind of looks like if he grew up and became like a vigilante.
That's kind of frightening. Okay, so the first one I'm going over is a DC book as well. It is Batman issue 132. Now, I really don't need to try to sell Batman. You know, Batman books, it's one of the highest subscribed to books out there. People just will read it because Batman's such a cool character and he's got such a good cast of villains and other characters. But that aside, I have to say, funny enough, it is probably my favorite read of the week. I really like this issue of Batman. I like what Zdarsky is doing with the second arc. So writer Chip Zdarsky, Mike Hawthorne's doing the art, which I think his art is great for this because it's an alternate Gotham that Bruce is in. So this all started at the end of last arc, fail safe. shot Bruce with a gun that sent him somewhere. And it's part of Failsafe's plan. Like, what will Bruce learn through this? Or why did he send him here? So this alternate Gotham is a place where there either is not a Bruce Wayne or he's dead because he is just not there. It is a darker, grittier Gotham. I know that's hard to say because Gotham's already that way, but Hawthorne, he does it in the art. It really is. Hey, this feels like Gotham, but like a little off, a little more dark. We're in a place where the state, like the police, are sort of corrupt, and they basically try to find reasons to say you're insane, and you get sent to Arkham if you don't follow the rules. There are villains that are roaming the street, all that. So I really like this because it's an alternate Gotham where Bruce can meet characters we've known before, but who are they in this world? And I mean, you get that on the cover. Who is that? That's Selina Kyle. And, you know, obviously that hand is Bruce Wayne. He's going to be in disguise in this one. He's meeting her, but it's like for the first time. Does she know him? Did she know Bruce Wayne in this world? You'll have to read it. It's really, really good, though. And then, of course, the reflection shows the Batman and Catwoman that's sort of behind who they are, at least in the world we know. But we get a lot of other alternate characters. We get Alfred, who is not Bruce Wayne's butler. Was there even a Bruce Wayne? So he has a whole different life, whole different career. He's actually married to another Batman-adjacent character. We have this Red Mask guy, the new villain who was introduced last time, who is either one of the main villains or if not the main villain. We get somebody who might be the Joker in this alternate world without makeup and a different name. It's not just name dropping though. The story itself is really good. What Bruce is trying to do and his interactions with these characters is really good. The best way I could describe this issue, it is just gripping. I read it and I was like, I want to see what happens next. I want to see where this goes. I'm trying to figure out different people's allegiances. Are they all good or bad? So a lot to this issue. And then on top of that, there's the backup story where Tim Drake is in the regular world trying to figure out where that gun sent Bruce, which is a good story in and of itself. And I like how you feel like the two are going to converge eventually instead of it just being a separate story that doesn't really cross over. So anyway, I'm sure if you've been reading Batman, you like the last one. You're going to love this one. If you fell off of Batman a while back, maybe before the Zdarsky run, you might want to start picking it back up. I think this one is real cool. I mean, just alternate character paths can be good if the writing and art is right, and they have it so far. A lot of good variants for this one as well. So let's see. We have the Art Germ variant, which I'll be showing you a shinier foil version of this at the end. More expensive one, too. Then we have the Quesada, Noland, and Isanova variant.
Is this our first Quesada in person?
Man, I can't remember.
I don't know if we've gotten a Quesada.
I can't recall if this is the first or not. Yeah, him with working over at DC. And then here's the 1 in 25 Chew variant. We're selling to our customers for $20. And lastly, as stated, here is the foil Art Germ. It looks a lot better in person. It's hard for the camera to capture this, but anyway, it's a 1 in 50 and we're selling it for $50.
So my next one is, I feel like I told Jason earlier, I really enjoyed pretty much everything I read this week. You know, sometimes I'm like, this was really good. This was kind of par for the course for the series. I thought everything was kind of standout. So next up is Red Goblin #1. Now, this is by Alex Packnadel, I guess. And the art is by Jan Bazaldua. But you've probably seen the name Bazaldua for a lot of variants.
Right.
She is one of Marvel's new
Stormbreakers.
So
this year.
And one of my notes in this is I really like the art in this. It felt very just kind of the kind of comic art I like. Very Spider-Man, almost like Dan Slott run of Spider-Man. I could see this kind of fitting in there. Curiel did the coloring, and I like his stuff a lot too. But Red Goblin, this follows, of course, Normie Osborn, the grandson of Norman Osborn. And from, was it in Venom that he received his piece of Carnage?
Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, Dylan Brock gave Normie a little smidgen of Carnage. for him to have his own symbiote. And that's mainly what this is about. Is they've teamed up before, but this new version of the symbiote that he calls Rascal, and Rascal is basically a puppy. Like, what a part I really loved is when he talked about this symbiote doesn't know anything about the King in Black. He doesn't know anything about the Clintar or any of that. This is a symbiote with a blank slate. And so he's like, it's kind of up to me to teach it to be good, but its kind of natural inclination is to go violent. And so it's him wrestling with that. But he's only a little kid. But a lot of this is kind of him dealing with the symbiote, which can talk, but it's very you can tell it's like a young thing, and he has to like get it to hide under his bed and everything because he's trying to hide it. Kind of that classic like E.T. Like, we can't let mom know I have this alien. But the kind of bigger story that's going on in this is there is somebody in the sewer, a very kind of like Rat King looking character, all in shrouds and everything, who has been using a gang of kind of goblin followers who paint their faces green and wear yellow contact lenses, has been using them to kind of spy on this new symbiote. Now, you do find out who that character is in the end. It is not a new character, but definitely a different version of a character. A character that last we knew of was dead. So this is the return of a character, but they don't look completely alive. So I'll let you know that. They might even be sitting on their own tombstone. I thought this was great. It's, I believe, a mini-series. I think it's 5 or 6 issues. But highly recommended. I haven't read a lot with Red Goblin, especially like his first introduction when Norman Osborn took it on. But I thought it gives a great introductory to the character, kind of what he's been through so far, Normie, and getting the symbiote, so it catches you right up. So if you think this looks cool, definitely pick it up. He looks like this for part of the time, but there's actually a different look for this version of the symbiote when Normie's wearing it. It's very sleek and really cool. So it might be the first appearance of kind of that look for it. So that is Red Goblin #1. And of course, we got to have him creeping through the blinds in this blinds shades variant.
Okay, so next up, I read Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants #1. This is one of the mini-series that goes along with Sins of Sinister event plotline that's going on. This is just a 3-issue mini-series. This is a good issue. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's written by Al Ewing with art by Paco Medina. And so the Sins of Sinister thing, it is set in sort of a possible timeline moving forward where Sinister's plans have all gone right. I know there's lots of timelines and multiverses, but to tell you the truth, the Sins of Sinister one makes the most sense because Sinister has captured Moira, who, if you've read the Krakoan stuff in the last few years, you know Moira, when she dies, sort of the universe resets. So he found a way to clone her, and he has like a storage unit with a bunch of Moiras in it that he just kills every time his plans don't go right. And it's allowed him to create this one timeline where all of his plans work, and he's able to like take over from within in a really messed up way. So the storylines for Sins of Sinister are told in 10, 100, and 1,000-year increments. This one seems like it is just a 10 years one. And it starts by telling you that Arakko has been destroyed. And you get sort of a flashback to the final battles they went through. And you get to see some of the X-Men that fall in that battle. And I mean, like, in this plot, they're gone. They're dead. So Storm is leading one of the last teams. She has made it away. You get to find out how she's able to do that, because she's up against a lot of powerful X-Men that Sinister has corrupted on the DNA level. And her team, so it is Storm, Mystique, Cable, Cora, and WizKid. Plus, there is the first appearance of a new mutant. His name is Ironfire, and he is basically Storm's right-hand man. I mean, this dude is fierce. You get to see him fight, and he is very tough. He's sort of her bulldog character, so must be a new mutant that she met during this 10-year stretch, because it is a first appearance. He has pretty cool abilities to do with heat and with metal and such. So Ironfire.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Anyhow, so new character in this. And so the plot to it is that Mystique has found out where Sinister is keeping the Moiras, his clone Moiras, and the plan is simple. Let's go there and let's destroy all of them so he can no longer kind of control fate. Well, of course, when they get there, they are met with a lot of resistance, but some of it may come from within their own group. So a real good first issue of this series. It's not at all phoned in. It's just a fun, interesting read with some good new character, and a lot of good backstabbery, like a lot of I didn't see that coming sort of stuff. So here is the variants. We have the Wernick variant. Also, seeing Storm as a leader. I mean, she's always such a great leader, but this is like her world's been destroyed.
Yeah.
Her new world, the one she was creating. And Arakko was such a nice place compared to Krakoa. It was sort of like, Krakoa is getting tainted. Let's make this place good. And of course, it has to get destroyed. So she's really tough in this. Here is Casagrande variant. That one's really nice.
That was really nice. I love what they do with her hair.
Yes. And here is the Phil Noto variant.
Well, I have a new X book as well. This is Bishop War College. Apply today for War College. But no, that is what this is. So Bishop, he is from, much like Cable and all those, kind of he's from a timeline where mutants have been killed and a very war-torn timeline. And so he kind of carries a lot of that back with him now in the current setup on Krakoa.
He's a soldier first and foremost.
Yes. And he is training some new young mutants to be ready for battle because they are kind of convinced that, war's going to come to the shores of Krakoa. So he has a team of young mutants, ones you may recognize, like Armor is one of them. But when this begins, he is putting them through the ringer. You get panel after panel of him saying again, running these drills, doing all this stuff, to the point where they're like, we quit. Like, you're taking it too far, Bishop. Like, we're not going to be any good if we're exhausted all the time. So they have to have some kind of Danny Moonstar? I always get it wrong. I always want to say Moonstone. Danny from New Mutants, I always get her last name wrong, comes to him and is basically like, hey, this is like, you got to chill a little bit. And they kind of have a talk about like how important he sees this, but is he going about this the right way?
Yeah, I think it's Moonstone.
Moonstone, yes. There's too many Starfires.
I know. We have so many names swimming through our head from our own reading, and then all the comics we just read.
So he then decides to take it a more tactical way and address them and kind of work with them in a less exhausting way. They kind of choose to go along with it. Now, it sounds like I'm telling you the whole issue. Well, I'm not, because I thought it was like, this seems like almost like a one and done story. You've got the problem, and then you get the solution.
Right.
Well, some bad mutants show up to the shores of Krakoa, and something happens to Bishop that I'm not going to say what it is, but this cover kind of shows you Bishop finds himself in possibly a world where there's new version of some classic X-Men. At least the ones we see first off are a black version of Cyclops and Jean, which I think is a very interesting.
I had questions the whole time you were talking. I was looking at that cover. I had questions.
So new versions of them. So I will say, I mean, unless this is, not a whole lot is brought up about this, so we could learn more definitely in the next issue. But from what I can tell, this is first appearance of a new Cyclops and new Jean.
Yeah.
So, not a spoiler.
So
They're on the cover right there. And I think this is really, really cool. There's a lot of things that can be explored with this. Maybe another timeline, dimension, whatever. And how is Bishop going to respond to that? Overall, I thought this was very good. Now, it uses some mutants I'm not super familiar with. But at least there's enough of them that I had a good handle on.
They actually have that roster page too.
Yeah, they have the roster page, and it's like, okay, I get about 50% of these. So, highly recommend Bishop War College. This is another mini series, but I think definitely worth your pickup. Even on the cover there, we have new versions of looks like Beast, Colossus, Wolverine, along with Cyclops and Jean. So, very cool there. We've got some variants for this as well. Like this Bustos variant. This is the Planet of the Apes variant. It's a very funny idea.
He's just like falling over, shooting his gun, and the apes are just watching. You missed us. You totally missed.
Of course, you gotta have a Liefeld variant with one of those tubular guns. And that is all the variants I have for that one.
Yeah, Bishop War College, I just keep hearing him, and he's yelling at the cadets like Arlie Ermy from Full Metal Jacket, you know?
Yeah, and it's, he can be scary. He kind of freaks out the other students with, like, how intense he can be.
Okay, so I read Harrower #1.
Yeah, try to say that.
Harrower. So this is a new 4-issue miniseries released by Boom, by Justin Jordan, with art by Bram Revel. This is a good one for people who like horror movies, which I like horror movies. My favorite type of horror movie is slashers. And, I know some people are like, oh, they're so overdone. Things get overdone because they're good. Give me a cast of characters, make me care about them, and then kill them off one at a time with a cool villain, and I'm hooked. So Harrower has that set up. I don't know how he's going to pull off in 4 issues, but with tight enough writing, I think he can do it. So this takes place in Barlow, New York. That's the town. It's a little city in New York, modern day. But this city has a weird legend and a secret. It's not like a secret outside the city, though. They all know it. It is this thing called the Sinner's Mark, and you'll get to see what that is in the issue. I'm not going to describe it. Just check it out. And the Sinner's Mark is the way to call forth the Harrower, this character on the cover, who is sort of the avenging dark angel of the city who supposedly keeps it pure. Now, when you hear that, it doesn't make him sound like necessarily a good guy. No. I think he's the main villain of this. Okay. But it's funny because the kids don't really believe in this legend, even though they're literally being taught it in this issue in high school history. Like the history teacher's teaching them and they leave and they're like, yeah, whatever, adults. Well, anyway, this happens near Halloween where all the adults, they all go to a meeting and that leaves the kids to do what they want to do. Somehow the kids are not suspicious of this. Okay, I'll go with that. So instead, the kids decide to go party. The thing you should do when there's a force that wants to keep the town pure.
Is it like in a crop field or is it
we don't get to the party of this issue, but what I will say, this has all the hallmarks of horror stuff. It has a harbinger sort of character who is jaded and knows more than everybody else. It has characters going to a mysterious party. It has a tire going flat, but it's not corny. Justin Jordan's a better writer than that. Yeah. He is using these devices that are often used, but he's doing it in his own way. And by the end of this issue, trust me, you'll see what the Harrower can do at least twice in this. And it is gory. It goes R-rated. And at least one of our main characters definitely has a big secret that comes out by the end of the first issue. So if you like horror-style comics and you want a nice one, like 4 issues, and you'll feel like you've watched a cool horror movie, I would check it out. And so as far as the variants, we have the Henderson variant. Very scary. Looks like a sort of a bat face. Mm-hmm. We have this awesome Inhyokali, just virgin variant. Trying to get it glare a little less. And then here's the 1 in 10 Rebel Virgin variant. So this, of course, is done by our interior artist. We're selling it for $10.
Next up for me, we have our next issue of Star Wars Hidden Empire. So this is really cool. And plus of the news that was just announced that Kira is getting her own novel. It looks like it's going to be explaining how she rises up the ranks in Crimson Dawn and all of that. So I love that Star Wars as a whole is really supporting this kind of storyline and these characters. But this is a super cool issue, and mostly because I love just Vader being Vader. And when you have the buildup of like they've got this cage that apparently has this frozen Sith in there that they're trying to release to help them fight against the Empire, but all this time you have in the background Vader learning about this thing and like, oh, I'm gonna go get them. Vader finally arrives, and it goes about as well as you think it would. It's my favorite part of Vader comics is just like he's gonna come out on top. We know his story, but it's just like how cool is he going to deal with the situation?
Vader is always the lethal monkey wrench to everyone's plans.
Yes,
to everyone's.
It all goes well unless Vader. So this one actually focuses on one of kind of our more recent characters named Chaneth Cha, who is part of the group The Orphans. And of course, Kira kind of put together all these different kind of ragtag groups to help her cause. And this time we learn more about the orphans. And Chaneth Cha is a girl who was orphaned because of Vader. Because of what Vader did, she is now taking revenge by creating this group of people who have been orphans because of Vader. So this has a lot of she has a lot of reason and puts more into it than your average person would trying to take down Vader. You're gonna have to see how it goes, but it does not go well. But not without Vader getting a good licking himself.
That's something.
Yeah, I really like this, and you kind of learn a bit more about the lengths that Kira will go to and what she will sacrifice to get her way. Where she's definitely she's not a good character. She's definitely leaning more villain. We also get a bit more of a hint of maybe who is watching this telling of this story. We see faces, but they're in shadow, but I still think it's very interesting. So that is our A cover. Now here is a big variant that don't want people missing out on. So this is the it is the Dom Estefane variant that features Myrdek Vex, who is going to be a character in the new Star Wars Hunters game. So this is, I think, the first appearance of any of those characters in anything, as she is on the cover for this one. Very cool. Usually she's wearing that helmet. But I wonder if we're going to be getting covers with all of the cast of characters, because it's kind of a Fortnite book.
We will, but
we have the Manahini Black History Month variant with Finn. Super cool. And that is that for Hidden Empire.
Okay, so I have a fast one for you. Ha ha ha. It is Flash issue number 792. So this is more of the 1 Minute War, which I've really been enjoying a lot. So as you can see at the top, part 3. This, of course, is by our team of Jeremy Adams with, oh man, I forgot the artist. Yeah, Cruz, the regular team. So, who's done so many good issues of Flash together. This one says Grand Theft Speed Force, and on the cover you see Kid Flash and Impulse. But what are they in? That has a lot to do with the plot here. So this comic has 2 things really that happen in it. For the most part, the Speedster teams, they all meet together to discuss what they know about the faction and what they don't know and what they need to learn to possibly be able to fight them in this 1 minute war. So the big question is, how are the faction moving as fast as them? Particularly, how do they have vehicles that do it, that can move through the Speed Force? That's a big question. Well, the other part of this is Kid Flash and Impulse getting into trouble as they head into faction territory to try to hijack a vehicle. And who's after them? The head enforcer for the faction, which is Miss Murder. So you don't want to get on the bad side of Ms. Murder. So that is a lot of what the issue is. It's Kid Flash and Impulse going up against Miss Murder as they try to steal a vehicle. They do meet someone though. There's kind of a new-ish character. I don't know if they're going to be around for more than this plot line though. And there is sort of a big wow moment at the end because the vehicle that they steal happens to have some special cargo in it that might actually be characters you might know.
Wow.
So, yeah, great issue. You know, Flash is always so cool. And we've got two variants for this I want to show you. It is the Acuna variant.
I love that one.
Yeah. The family of speedsters. And here is the Bayless variant.
Next up, I've got one I've been looking forward to reading. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 19. This is our first post-Dark Web issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And our regular team is on break, so this is written by Joe Kelly, and Terry Dodson does the interior art. I think this is going to go on for at least 2 issues. It might be 3, I'm not positive, but it is setting up a little story. And this is exactly the kind of like in-between big story arc stories I like, because Peter's been having kind of a little thing with Felicia, Black Cat, and she says, hey, we've been working all the time. Let me take you up, kind of upstate to a cabin. It kind of seems like a ski resort for just some rest and everything. So that is what they're going to do. But of course, the classic Parker Luck, who is also at this get together, Mary Jane and her new husband. Talk about awkward. It played out perfectly with just the weirdness of it all. There's still some really good moments between Black Cat and Spider-Man, or Felicia and Peter, about the feelings he still has for Mary Jane and how she's okay with that. Just a lot of really good character stuff. I mean, when you read so many comics, the stuff you really love is those character building moments, and there's a lot of that in this issue. But of course, even with that, they still can't rest, because it sounds like there's also some villains hanging out at this lodge as well. So you'll have to read it to find out. I thought this was really, really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. It's not a huge game-changing issue, but it does further these characters' current story arcs. Kind of what's going on between Peter and Mary Jane and Felicia, and what's going on with Mary Jane and her new husband. All of that is addressed to some extent in a very good way. So I really enjoyed this issue, especially Terry Dodson art is just amazing on this. Seeing him do Black Cat is so good. So this is our A cover by Romita Jr. Then we have our Mowgli Planet of the Apes variant, which is super cool. Very dynamic. And a big one you don't want to miss. This is the Disney 100 variant. Don't be confused. This is not Fantastic Four. This is Amazing Spider-Man. So you may have to hunt for it at your store if they've put it maybe with Fantastic Four alphabetically or something. But all of these have been selling out, so don't miss this one. We've got the Marvel No Prize variant. They've been doing these.
I'll be showing one of those next.
Yep. Reminiscent of the old No Prizes Marvel would send out. And lastly, we have this 1 in 25 Terry Dodson variant. So that's what your interior art is going to look like, that we're selling to our customers for $20.
Okay, so I read Black Panther number 14. So what do we got on the cover here? We have Namor, and it says Wakanda's new protector.
Ooh.
Yes. So that harkens back to the end of last issue. So, of course, this is by writer John Ridley, art by German Peralta. I have thoroughly enjoyed this Black Panther run. This has been one of my favorite Black Panther runs I can think of. And at the end of last issue, so Black Panther and his small team, they're trying to stop Jahai, who used to be the sleeper agent for Black Panther, for T'Challa, who is now trying to take over the world, to control it, to make the world better, as all sort of dictators say. And as T'Challa and his small team was trying to stop him, the Avengers showed up. They said, T'Challa, we told you stay out of this. You know, they kind of beat him down and beat his team down. We have seen T'Challa get punched in the face so much in the last few issues. I feel so bad for him. He's so misunderstood in this series. It's such a shame, but it's effective. Well, anyway, the end of last issue, as it looked like the Avengers were wiping the floor with him and his team, Namor shows up and says, "Hey, guess what? I want to help you, T'Challa." And it's sort of like a record scratch moment. What? These two do not get along. Well, this issue you're going to find out why, but I'll tell you, they once again don't get along. Even with Namor showing up, going, "I want to help you," they don't get along. What happens between them? It's messed up, but it'll make you smile, it'll make you laugh a little bit too. The reasons why I cannot say, but let's just say a lot of politics have been going on behind T'Challa's back. And again, he ends up with the short end of the stick. Now, it all culminates in something kind of good. It might be all the teams are going to come together under one flag to go up against Jahai. In fact, this is kind of the beginning of a big battle at the end, a very big, cool battle. But still, T'Challa, he gets so mistreated in this book. I can't wait to see him redeem himself. You know, you got to have a character go low to bring them back up. So it's another good issue. And on top of that, those of you looking for more Tozin's in it, and he gets to do some action. He's in there fighting with people. So, yeah, that was pretty cool, too. Another great issue of Black Panther. And we have this Romero variant featuring Shuri, who, of course, is in this book quite a bit as well. You know, leaves you wondering if they're not, like, trying to start sort of a Shuri Tozin thing. Here is... I mean, just hints right now.
Yeah.
It might just be friendship, you know. Here is the U variant. No, she's the person who's kind of met him more than any of the rest of the normal Black Panther characters. And then here's that no prize variant for Black Panther.
Okay, next up for me, I have, let me make sure I'm going in the right order. Yes. This is Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo, issue number 4. It's hard to look because it's book 4. I did not get a chance to read this as in-depth as I wanted to, but once again, Silvestri writing and knocking the art out of the park. That's kind of, I get almost distracted from the story just by kind of digging through his art and looking at all of it, but want to let you know that that is out and has some really cool variants this week, including some David Mack covers. So here is our Batman, David Mack, with that very scary Joker face in the background. We have the Catwoman David Mack variant. And we have this Sharp variant. This is the 1 in 25 that we're selling to our customers for $20. It's Liam Sharp.
I can definitely tell.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so I read The Exile. So this is a comic that the story is by Wesley Snipes. So he came up with the story. He came up with the character who I think is clearly supposed to sort of be, you know, Wesley Snipes if it ever makes it to screen. But this is actually so story by Snipes with the script by Adam Lawson and art by Gabriel Santos. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries. It's from the new publisher, Whatnot. So as far as what it's about, it's one of these books that sort of starts at something that happened before. And so the main character is a detective. I'm just going to call him the Snipes character. The Snipes character is a detective in this. And he basically witnesses this weird modern-day Egyptian transference, you know, like from one body to another, you know, old becomes young sort of thing. But then as that happens, there's something that occurs called the Red Friday attack, where a lot of people get killed. Okay? So this Red Friday attack happens, a lot of people killed. He gets reassigned. Now we jump to our present day. And in our present day, this world he's in, it is dark. I mean, there's like a killer who's like stealing people's spines, but making it look like accidents, you know? It's like they come to a suicide thing where somebody's jumped off a building and they're like, oh, he didn't commit suicide. It's worse because he has no spine. somebody's collecting them. It is a weird, dark world. It's hard to tell what the Snipes detective, if he has powers or not. It seems like he might have some precognition, but it's very mysterious, hard to tell. The art style, what I would say is, it is dark, gritty style, but not nearly as like detailed as you find on this cover. That's what I would say to it. The paneling, they take a lot of liberties to do paneling their own way. There were parts I had to like read a few times because it was just like the indie way to do it rather than like, okay, I can clearly see what's going on. So that's the best I can tell you about this issue number 1. If you want to see what Wesley Snipes is cooking up, you might want to try
We
it.
need to have a Wesley Snipes character versus Keanu Reeves Berserker.
So a lot of variants for this. Whatnot likes to do a lot of variants. Here is the Mahfood variant.
You can spot that from a mile away.
Yeah, here is the Moss variant. Fallen, but it's okay. He's still going to shoot you. Maybe he shot out more of the glass that he fell through.
That's true.
Because, he didn't want anyone to cut their hand. Here is the Acevedo variant. This one's really kind of cool, honestly. This doesn't happen, but maybe it will. I hope so.
We can only hope.
Here is the Tent variant. Did you know Snipes was the main guy in Blade Runner?
I was not aware.
Yeah, in this world, in the Berenstain Bears universe. Okay, here is
we want to see the Harrison Ford Blade movie.
The Esquivo variant. And then we get our incentives. The 1 in 10 Combinus variant we're selling for $10. The 1 in 10 Lauren action figure variant we're selling for $10. Yep, issue number 1, but they're already getting an action figure ready.
Get it early.
The 1 in 15 blank we're selling for $15. If you live next door to Wesley Snipes, get it. Make him sign it. The 1 in 25 Calero Blade homage variant for $25. I think this is the one a lot of people will want because, I like Snipes, but come on, we want more Blade. And that's all the ones we have.
Okay, next up for me is Darth Vader number 31. So another great issue of Darth Vader. I actually thought the art was really stand out in this one by Roberson. I don't know if it's a new artist, but I really noticed it in this one, how good it was. But I would say the key thing to this issue is Padme's handmaidens, not Sabe, but the other ones that were, gunning for Vader, now kind of think they need to be working with him, but that's not before Vader puts them through their own test to kind of teach them a lesson about why he's not the enemy here, someone else is. You get some great action with all of the handmaidens doing their own fighting styles, and you kind of get a little bit of them, someone kind of going down the line of each of them and saying, here's why you're doing what you're doing, and gives them a little bit more of a character other than they just looked like Padme. So, very good issue of Darth Vader. Continues to be great. We've got some variants for this. We have the Manahini Black History Month variant with Janna from Rise of Skywalker. We have the Lionel Francis Yu variant. And we have the Lucasfilm 40th Anniversary variant for Return of the Jedi. This is number 5 of 40.
Okay, so I read Poison Ivy, issue number 9, another great issue of Poison Ivy. This, of course, is by G. Willow Wilson with art by Marcio Takara. And look at the cover. Who's that with Ivy? It looks like it's Harley. That's right. Harley showed up at the end of last issue. It was not a mirage. It was not a vision. It's not a robot. It's really Harley. She comes to visit Ivy all the way from Gotham. This issue is neat because, first off, they reconnect very quickly. Okay, so it's not one of these, they get in a fight and they reconnect really quickly. In fact, Harley wants to experience the Lamia spores. Now, I know that sounds weird because that's what kills people, But if you just have a little of them, you get to see the world the way Ivy sees it through the green. So this issue, kind of what it is them going on a long extended date to a lot of exciting places, like a roller coaster, places like that. Meanwhile, Harley is just tripping on these Lamia spores and seeing into the green and seeing what Ivy sees. It's a good issue. It's fun. The art's really cool. What they talk about's awesome. And you'll have to read it to see if she's going to stick around this book or not. I will not reveal that. But if you like the other issues, you will not be disappointed. Another great issue of this that focuses on the relationship and not in a boring way.
It sounds like a little bit of
great art.
Reprieve from kind of the dark of some of the issues. They get to actually have some fun.
That is true, because you're right. It's been a while.
Yeah,
they've been sort of on the outs for a long time, and so good variants as always. We have the Mora variant. That's just not.
This is the hardest book to pick variants for because they're all so good.
Here is the Dodson variant. Taking a bath in a tulip, like she's Alice in Wonderland, eating one of those little cakes. Here is the Sweeney Boo variant. And lastly, we have the Gonzalez 1 in 25 variant we're selling to our customers for $20.
Okay, next up I have Star Wars The High Republic #5. Usually I group all of these Star Wars books together, but I had something individual to say about each of them, so wanted to give them their own spot. For those of you keeping up with all the High Republic stuff, this takes place during, if you were to read kind of coinciding with it, during the Battle for Jeddah audio drama that came out, I think, the end of last year. But you get to see a lot of the big events from different angles, which I love, because I just finished that audiobook, and now you see stuff like there's a giant Jedi statue that's on Jeddah that we even see in Rogue One, but it's on its side. You see how that statue falls in this issue. Just really cool. But the big thing about this issue is it has the first appearance of the mother. Now, if you aren't keeping up with a lot of this, because this is the new timeline, or it jumped back 150 years from the previous High Republic. The big enemy in this one seems to be the Path of the Open Hand, that are kind of another sect of the Force that they believe you shouldn't use the Force, and the people who do are bad. So, of course, they're going to run up against the Jedi, and the mother is kind of the head of this whole group. We have not seen her in comics yet, and we see her. I don't know if I would call it a cameo. You see her pretty clearly. She doesn't say anything, but it is a moment in this that a character looks at her and focuses on her and kind of gets a feeling or whatever. I would say it's right on the border between cameo and first appearance. But if you've been reading the books and everything, you know that she is a very big character and has a lot of kind of dark secrets. So I think that makes this a pretty big book this week. Almost like the first Marchion Row, how that was the big first appearance of the villain back from the first run of High Republic.
High Republic Adventures #2.
Yes. So I believe this is kind of the equivalent of that. We have yet to learn kind of the ramifications of both characters for the overall Star Wars universe, but we do know that they are the big thing right now. So that is our A cover. We have our Manahini variant for this one with Olivia Zeveron, who is one of our main characters in this book. Very cool. And we have a Todd Knock variant. Very fun to see Todd Knock. Don't really see him do Star Wars stuff very often.
That's true.
And lastly, we have the 1 in 25 Bengal variant that we are selling to our customers for $40. So I think this is going to be a big one just because of that first appearance of the mother for all the High Republic fans.
All right, so I read Joe Fixit, issue #2. This is the new miniseries by, what's his name?
Peter David.
Of course, Peter David. Yeah, longtime writer. So many things he has written. Too many names swimming through my head. And the art is by Yildre Sinar. So right on the cover, we have Spider-Man. What's he doing? He's hitting Joe Fixit in the face, and he's quipping. That's right, Spider-Man is quipping. And there is quite a bit of that in this, which I really like. In fact, the dialogue that Peter David does in this is just that awesome old style dialogue where everybody has the appropriate thing to say.
Yeah.
So last issue we had it where Peter Parker's in town for a photographer's convention. He is in Las Vegas, and he comes upon the fact that Hulk, the Joe Fixit Hulk, is set back during that age, is working security for a major casino. Well, Kingpin comes in to put the squeeze on the casino owner, and it doesn't go too well. In fact, Hulk kind of beats the crap out of Kingpin last issue, which is great. Well, Kingpin doesn't take this lion down. In this issue, he has come up with a plan where either Joe Fixit's going to work for him or he's going to control him a different way and cause him to destroy the casino and kill his boss. Well, of course, it's up to Spidey to try to stop that. Mm-hmm. But the best parts really are the in-between moments, like where Spidey gets called up to Joe Fixit's penthouse because he did him a favor last issue. And he finds him living in the lap of luxury. He's enjoying everything Vegas has to enjoy as Joe Fixit. Or the part where Peter runs into Kingpin on the street as Peter Parker, and they have a discussion where, of course, Peter knows who he is, but Kingpin doesn't. That discussion, it's just right. It's just right. So if you like the first one, I think the second one is really, really good. If you missed the first one, this might be a series worth reading. Mm-hmm. So as far as variants, we have just this one. This is the McKelvey variant.
Next up for me, I have Ghost Rider, issue 11. So this is kind of an in-between issue, I feel like, between the big exhaust story and what is coming next with Danny Ketch.
I mean, that's an exciting cover for me. Looking in the rearview mirror, and that's Danny Ketch Ghost Rider coming for you.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. You may think because of how the last issue ended, where you see Danny Ketch kind of all rigged up to a very, Weapon X looking thing, that this would be the issue. Danny Ketch is not in this issue. This is kind of a transition issue where we see, I believe the next issue is going to be kind of the main thing for that. But this is kind of wrapping up some of the bits from the previous run. You actually find out what happened to Exhaust, because we only briefly saw kind of the beginning of what we thought would be a battle, and then it cut scenes. Now, I even have in my notes, if you know what happened to him in the previous one, let me know in the comments, because I must have missed it if you know what form Exhaust takes on in this. Because I guess this is the first appearance of Exhaust, but in a different form. Okay. You'll have to read to find out. It could have 2 wheels and a rib cage. But very cool seeing that. Now, have we seen the last of him? I don't know. But it looks like we're putting that story to rest for a little bit as the team of War Road and Johnny Blaze head to Savannah, Georgia. So I think that's super cool because I love anything that's in the South. I love Savannah. Been there many times. So I'm looking, in the last panel, you see kind of on the horizon. It's like, oh, that's awesome. So, that is our next issue of Ghost Rider. And we've got a couple of variants. We have the Shalvey Planet of the Apes variant. Just all of these, the apes stand no chance. We've got the Fegredo Jr. variant. And this super awesome, one of my favorite covers I've seen in a while, this J. Scott Campbell variant that kind of has that old duotone on it. Very reminiscent of the old box art for the Ghost Rider action figures from the 90s. Just really, really cool.
Okay, so I read Monarch #1. This is a new ongoing series by Rodney Barnes with art by Alex Linz for Image Comics. And so what is this series about? We have some kids here. They look about middle school age, and there's a strange light on them with sort of the moon in the background, but a bright light there, something kind of, actually, that's not the moon. That's like a scary, robotic, alien-looking creature.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what this is about is it's about a middle schooler named Trayvon, and he is growing up in sort of gangland LA territory. And so he's trying to just live his already difficult life. I mean, right off the bat, you see he gets chased by bullies. problems at school, but he has, at least one friend, the one he's standing next to right there. So what happens during all this when aliens invade the Earth as well and start killing people? Like one of the things that happens in this that you'll have to answer for yourself is if you're being bullied by somebody and they're destroyed practically by an alien who is going to go after you next, are you happy about that or are you sad about that? So pretty cool issue in that way. And so by the end of it, though, Trayvon is going to get a lot closer to the aliens than I expected. Something happens where it's like, oh, wow, what's going to happen in this next issue? It really has a good hook at the end of it. I thought the art was really good, too. It was realistic, but also very vibrant. That's what I would say about the art style of this book. So I think the premise is strong. I think it's a neat setting with an interesting main character. But really, more than anything, I think if you read to the end, you'll be like, oh, cool. I wonder where this is going. And that's the most I can say, because I like people to get their own experience of it. So as far as variants, we have just this one. This is the Jason Shawn Alexander variant.
Okay, and last of the new books I've got is, I grabbed the variant, Secret Invasion, number 4 of 5. This is the penultimate issue, and Maria Hill has really taken the fight to the Skrulls. And the big thing in this is Iron Man, who's kind of been working with the Skrulls, not too happy about it. She's going to take on Maria Hill, but not before Maria Hill puts on one of Iron Man's suits of armor. You're going to see how that fight goes down, but definitely kind of leaves with a big cliffhanger for the next issue, but I really enjoyed this one. And we have the U variant for that as well.
My last one I'd like to point out is it is Static Shadows of Dakota number 1. This is season 2 of Static, so this directly continues the last Static series, and it's by Nicholas Draper-Ivey with art by Vita Ayala. This has what people are saying is the second cameo of the new villain, Eban, who was a character from the Static animated series, like a pretty major villain character. So second cameo of Eban. But when you read it, you might think like me, it's like, I kind of thought it was a first appearance. He's in the shadows, but multiple panels having a full discussion with someone. I mean, back and forth.
Yeah.
And not like so in the shadows you couldn't see the form, the shadows, some of the hair, the eyes for sure, the glowing eyes. Anyhow, so just wanted to let you know, first or maybe second cameo, because there was sort of a whiff of him at the end of the last series. But second cameo or first full, I don't know. But it continues on the storyline if you were reading that last series. And here is the variant. This is the Coipel and Anderson variant. Talk about some cool hair.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And the last one I wanted to show off is, just real quick, got to show off these Bermejo variants for Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing. This is issue number 5. And all of these have been selling out, been super hot. So look out for this when you're there. I didn't get a chance to read it.
It's like, which
it's
face
great.
do I go out with today?
Yeah, but very creepy, very cool.
Okay, so we just went over at least 10 comics apiece. I think we went over 20 comics, all their variants, all their incentives. But that is not all that is out. So we're just going to tell you about some of the ones that are also out this week. We don't have time to read and go over all the comics. I mean,
there's a lot.
Yeah, we try to keep it to within an hour. So also releasing this week is Alien number 6.
We also have Avengers 8 Facsimile, first appearance of Kang, which I think a lot of people will be wanting to grab.
Absolutely. There's Avengers War Across Time number 2 out this week.
We've got Captain America Symbol of Truth number 10.
Daredevil number 8.
Gold Goblin number 4, another Goblin book.
Yep. How many Goblin books are going to have going at once? Miracleman the Silver Age number 4 releases.
We've got Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 3.
A real good one that I read off to the side when I have the time. I mean, so much good writing in it. Is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Armageddon Game number 4.
Yes, and we've got X-Men Legends number 6.
Gotham City Year 1 number 5 releases this week.
We've got Madballs, Garbage Pail Kids, Slime Again, #1.
Yep.
They're
New miniseries after the last one.
Yeah, they're loving this license they got.
Yep. Spawn issue number 338.
We got a new issue of Sonic the Hedgehog, #57.
And the last one we'll mention is Stranger Things Tales from Hawkins, the new miniseries. Issue number 1 of that is out this week. All right, so that is everything. We'll be back on Friday with Comics from the Future, where we go over all the comics that are open order. And that is the stuff that you can definitely order on our website.
Yes.
So, infinityflux.net. We are definitely having people sign up on our site to pre-order comics. And if you do that, you get 10% off any comics you pre-order. And so if you tune in this Friday, we'll be going over the very comics you will see on our site starting on Friday.
Yes.
So, but don't wait till then. You can sign up and start looking right now.
Yeah, get a head start.
Yep, you can subscribe to the entire series, or you can just get the cover that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, infinityflux.net. Until then, have a great week, and we hope you read some good comics.